parts of this country besides New York, LA, and San Francisco, as my ambitions as a businessman play out over the next 3 to 4 decades. It made no sense to be so secluded to just the coasts. And so as I thought about my venture capital and private equity activities in a 30, 40-year window, I knew that I wanted to set up shop in other places. I think whether it's the advantage of not being born in the US, as I was because I was born in the former Soviet Union, I always kind of just understood that there was a lot more to America besides New York, LA, and San Francisco. And more importantly, since I grew up in the Web 2.0 boom, I was an early investor in Twitter and Facebook and Tumblr and things of that nature, that extreme microculture was even more San Francisco or bust, which I think is a complete insane point of view on if you play out the technology infrastructures, like the speed of the internet here and other things of that nature. So the reason I ended up here was I had the luxury in that era of thinking about my goals and ambitions professionally in a 4-decade window instead of a 4-week window. I had the luxury of writing a couple of business books that allowed me to do a bunch of tours, and I was very conscious of doing them in places that may eventually become home. And so a lot of great cities, whether it was Des Moines, Iowa, or Columbus, Ohio, or different things of that nature. There's a lot of great cities that Omaha, Nebraska comes to mind. There was a tech conference there that I used to do many a times. Very frankly, the punchline is this is always going to be about people. Ted and his crew were extremely welcoming. And listen, there's always great hustler entrepreneurs in every corner of this amazing country. It wasn't that he was charismatic or that the team was so awesome, because Ted is very much not charismatic. It was that when you started digging under the hood, it went much further than a couple of entrepreneurs that wanted to live their city. There's hometown pride everywhere, but there was a lot of infrastructure and went deeper. There was a lot of creativity. There was the right kind of mix of art and science for me in not only the schooling systems, but the individuals that I was interacting with. And really the punchline became on an intuitive call and on poking and prodding. It became obvious to me that this was a spot that we wanted to be in. And to me, it's a really, I think a lot of us in this room, probably want to spend more time thinking about actions over words. The world's in such an interesting, I'm obsessed with this notion of headline reading versus practitionership. Everybody here has points of view on smartification, message bots, voice activation, Alexa, Google Home, all this stuff, but who really knows their crap versus who read a couple of articles is something that I've just become so fascinated about in the last 5 years. And I think that that's ultimately what I'm proud of standing here today, which is you can say you're gonna go open up offices, you can talk about what you're gonna do. We opened up shop here. We have a 20-person firm and aspirations to be hundreds. We spend time in I come down here, we brainstorm. A lot of this came from that. But we're realistic. The opening brainstorm for this by Ted was that Ludacris was going to perform on a bus or something. And so I think to be very frank, and this is more of a personal conversation with you and I, this is exactly how it should start. I was at Y Combinator the first season, right? I was out South by Southwest when there was no lines or people outside of the biggest nerds in the world that I had ever met, and that they were mad at me for even mentioning business because we were supposed to use technology to cure the world, right? So this feels exactly right. Every part of it feels exactly right. And I'm very humbled and excited to be here. I'm also massively pumped that now I have a direct flight to get back to New York. So tomorrow the flight to Newark is very exciting. And so I'm excited to see what's going on here. But what I will say is this. Mark Zuckerberg grew up in Connecticut. Ben Silverman, who created Pinterest, created it in Pennsylvania. Ev Williams, who is the best consumer internet guy in my opinion because he created Blogger, Twitter, and Medium, grew up in Omaha, Nebraska. You may have your selfish wants and needs in this room today, but whether you're from here or other parts of the country that you're proud of or care about, over the next 2-3 decades, these kids are gonna have the option to stay home. And I think that certain people here are gonna have this is going to be a seed, another block that allows some 13-year-old girl that's 4 blocks from here that's going to invent the thing to have the option to build it here. The Under Armour Maryland story and the Procter & Gamble Cincinnati story and things of that nature is about to become very common over the next century. And I'm pumped that one day I get to come to this awesome city with my grandkids and say, yeah, it was way different when we started this journey. And so I think, all of us have those kind of short-term and selfish wants and needs, but I hope tonight and what you see here, you have a little inkling of like the bigger impact and what these pieces actually mean, because it is meaningful and and to be very frank, it's funny, I'll just end with this and then we'll go into it. I've started being interviewed a lot because of my return on investment on female-driven entrepreneur startups that I invested in. 4 or 5 years ago, I invested in Birchbox, and I invested in Micmac, and Brit.co, and Hullabaloo. And the return on my investments on female entrepreneurs has been very good for me over the last half decade. And so, it's obviously very topical, and I get interviewed on it a lot. And it's so funny, when I'm being interviewed, a lot of times the interviewer is putting me in the direction of where she or he wants me to go, which is, I'm a good guy, and this is also Mother Teresa. The truth is, 5, 6 years ago, when I started investing in female-driven entrepreneurs around their technology companies, it was an arbitrage. I realized that the market was underpricing them because they were girls, which I thought was insanity, because I'm here to make money. I'm not here because Chattanooga is my sister. I'm here because it's asinine to not look at every corner of this country where there's talent and opportunity. And this is exactly right, because I'll tell you one thing about Silicon Valley and the Silicon Shore in LA and New York City. There's a lot of non-practical businesses. There's a whole lot of financial arbitrage machines, but there's a lot of people not building businesses. And when I know one thing, what we're about to look at is a hell of a lot closer to turning a profit than 99.9% of the things we see every day. So for all the nice, we're here and we're helping the future of Tennessee and Chattanooga, I'm here to do business. I think these companies have a better chance of making money than the alternatives in the oversupplied and overhyped aspects of different parts of the world. So that's just the truth. Thank you.